Good morning. I hope everybody's having a great Monday and that you had a good weekend. And today I wanted to do a quick video to talk to you about this week, which is week 3 of research. And this week you're going to take the topic that you started talking about in last week's discussion forum or workshop and sort of narrow it down a little bit and finalize that and then start moving on to the next steps of crafting that into a topic for your literature review. So a couple of things. If you haven't yet, now would be a great time to go towards the end of the semester, I think it's week 12 or 13, and read the final lit review assignment so that you have a sense of what you're headed towards. Almost everything that we do this semester is headed towards that lit review. And so it'll be good to have a sense of what that means. If you aren't 100% sure what a literature review is, you are in good company. Lots of other people have that same question. And so your readings for this week are really going to help you answer that question. And so what I would recommend that you do after you read that assignment is I would recommend that you start with the Reading in the Pan book, which is chapter 3. Which gives you a little bit of an overview of a lit review. And then also on the reading page in Blackboard for week 3 is a link to a document from the Purdue OWL website, which I love and I highly recommend everything that they have. And there's a document for there on that website about literature reviews. So before you do anything else, make sure that you understand what our end goal is. And I will give you my 5-cent version of this, which is that a literature review is really our opportunity to say this is what the current state of knowledge is on this topic. And literature reviews can take a whole bunch of different forms. I have a couple of sample ones that I'm going to post for you as we move a little bit farther that are ones that your fellow students have done. I have a sample one that I've done for you to take a look at, and we'll post those in Blackboard. But fundamentally what we're looking for is, have other people done research on this topic and have they found answers to the questions that we have? We're going to in particular focus on empirical research. So what does that mean? Empirical research is research that has been done that other people have collected data in order to answer a question. And that might be qualitative data, it might be quantitative data, it doesn't matter what kind of data, but they've collected data to answer a question. And that's different from articles that take, say, a historical perspective on the issue that we care about, or are asking big conceptual, should this kind of program exist? What are the ethical implications? Like those are all, and they're wonderful questions. They're great questions, but they can't be answered with empirical research because we can't say, yes, definitively, research shows this, because they're sort of they're different kinds of questions. They're historical or conceptual questions. So what you're going to look for your final assignment is you're going to look for research that provides an empirical answer to the question that we're asking. And so that's what your lit review is going to include. So again, I want you to really understand what the assignment is and reach out if you have questions, and then read these resources that are going to help you understand a literature review. But here's the other thing. I had a student last semester who said that this felt like writing a different kind of paper than what she'd done before. And I don't think it's fundamentally a different animal than the kind of papers you've done before. I think it's just dressed up a little bit differently. So I don't want you to feel like I'm teaching you an entirely new skill in this class. You know how to write academic papers. You've been writing them for the last few semesters. You've been doing well or you wouldn't be here. It's just writing a little bit of a different kind of paper and sort of focusing your attention in different ways. So I don't want you to feel like you have to throw out everything you've ever known about writing papers and start over. It's just doing it in a little bit different way. So once you've read the final assignment and read a little bit of what a lit review is, if you still are not 100% sure, send me an email. Let's schedule a time to talk, right? Because I want you to feel confident in that. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do 2 worksheets for this week. And you'll find that we do a lot of worksheets throughout this class because it's a good opportunity to help you sort of put the bits and pieces of this assignment together before you write the final one. So the first one you're going to do is a topic statement, and this is sort of going to take your research question that you and I have agreed on in the workshop from last week, and we haven't agreed on one. Go back to the workshop and make sure we do that. And then you're going to put that research question in this topic worksheet. You're going to tell me why it's relevant to social work practice. And here, I'm not looking for any particular magic. It might be that it's relevant because it relates to social justice, or it relates to an area of work that a lot of social workers work in, or it relates to a population that we really care about. So there's a lot of potential answers to that. And then I want you to just brainstorm a little bit here about the kinds of research articles you'll need to find, right? Are you looking for articles that test a theory? Are you going to be looking for articles that have looked at the effectiveness of a program? Are you going to look for articles that have interviewed clients or, people who have received a service, right? So what kind of research articles are you looking for? Right, so those are the 3 questions of that first worksheet. Should be pretty straightforward. One of your classmates has already done it. I can't wait to go and read it. The next worksheet you're going to do is called, what's it called? It's called the Search Protocol Worksheet. Okay, that sounds way fancier than it actually is, right? So this is basically just going to give you the chance, and I pulled it up right here so I can walk you through it. So this asks you to sort of think through what you're going to search in the library databases before you actually do the search. And so, for example, it says, what terms are you going to use? So if my research question is, how do social workers successfully engage communities in voting, right? That's something I care a lot about. So then the search terms I'm going to use are going to be around, so I might use social work, I might use voting, I might use communities. But then think about what are some other terms that might get me some of the stuff I care about, right? So I might say political participation or civic engagement instead of voting, right? Because different people use slightly different terms. The next question is, what Boolean operators will you use? And some people look at that and say, what the heck? So Boolean operator, and you can just Google it for a bunch of examples, would be, are you going to use and? Are you going to use or? So would I use civic engagement or political participation, or would I be searching for civic engagement and political participation? Do I only want articles that are in the United States? So am I going to put, not international, or that would be a terrible search, but something like that. The next thing asks you to select a search strategy. So in order to do this, you're going to need to log into the library's website and look at, they have a set of databases in there. So the question here says, what library databases are selected? So the library itself is not a database. The library is a collection of databases. So within that, there are some social work specific databases, there are some criminal justice databases, there are some psychology databases, there are some medical databases, right? So look through the databases they have and tell me which databases you think would be a good place to do your search. And then once you've done that, you're going to actually start to do the search and report out some of the results here. So how many things did you find? If you found 3, you're going to need to expand your search. How are you going to do that? If you found 1,000, how, you're going to need to narrow it down, right, to find the things you care about. If you do need to narrow your search, another thing you can do is you can narrow down the date range of your search, right? Because if I'm looking for what substance use treatments are effective, I probably don't really care what we thought was effective in 1995, right? Because we know more now than we did in 1995. So okay, then let's look at what we think has been effective, say, in the last 10 years. So that might be a good way to narrow your search. And then sort of, give me a little bit of, what are you finding empirical research, and are you not finding empirical research? Does it seem to be good research? You don't need to read the articles to answer these questions. Reading just the title and the abstract should be enough to answer those questions. And then the last section of this says, how many relevant articles did you find? You need at least 5 to do this assignment. So even if you've only found 3 now, that's fine. You can stop. That's a great start. You found 3, and we'll talk more in upcoming weeks about how to expand that. If you found 0, then that probably means that we need to tweak your search terms, have a conversation about your research question, just make sure you're on the right track. So I'm going to use the results of this to have a conversation with you via Blackboard or phone if necessary about, how you're doing and if you need to make any changes in your process. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. You've got some reading to do, looking ahead to the assignment. You've got those 2 worksheets to do. There is an optional cheat sheet worksheet that's in Blackboard that might be helpful for you in this process. It's not a grade. It doesn't need to be submitted for an assignment, but you can do that cheat sheet, see if it's helpful for you, and you're welcome to send that to me just via email to get feedback on. There's also, just to follow up on our discussion from week 1, you also have one more reading for this week that's about Kenya and cash transfer program. So just to sort of keep going on that thread, and that is a really good example of an empirical research article. So that will give you a sense of the kind of articles that we're hoping that you find. So that's really what we're focusing on this week, is writing good research questions and doing good searches of the databases that are available to us in order to find the answers to those. So if you've got questions, comments, anything like that, you know where to find me. All of the work for this week is due by Sunday, so I will be checking back with you through the week, but everything needs to be in by the end of the day Sunday. And I hope you'll let me know if you run into any roadblocks. So have a great week. I hope everything is going well with you, and I am looking forward to seeing what you find over the week. All right, bye-bye.